Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Commander Clash podcast, where the Commander Clash crew talks all things Commander. And this week, we got a special cast. We are coming to you from Magic Con Las Vegas. We're all together in a very hot Las Vegas hotel room at the moment. And we got a fun topic today. We're going to be talking about the unwritten rules of the Commander format. But before we get into that, we got a crew to introduce. And we're going to kick things off down on that end with Phil. How's it going, Phil?
Hi, y'all. Prill is still pretty tired, but it's getting better.
What are your plans for the day, Phil? Are you going to jog 2 miles in 109-degree weather to get an envelope? Okay.
2 miles back, so sadly, it's combined.
The Phil life in Vegas. Next, we got the owner of MTG Goldfish, Richard, who is not planning to run 2 miles in the heat today, I don't believe.
No, I am back. I'm being squeezed by Phil's massive forearms, but here we are in 110 toasty degrees, Las Vegas. But I'm sure the convention hall is gonna smell great.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. And then of course, Krim. It's only 10 a.m. Krim, and you're awake. How's it going?
I am. It's going well. I realize I don't own any non-black clothes, so I can't wait to go into that 110.
Yep, I'm there with you.
Bring your leather jacket with you, at least?
No, but I did bring black shorts.
Oh, nice.
So I guess that's like a halfway point.
And then of course, Tomer, Budget Commander. How you doing, Tomer?
I'm doing well. I was like complaining about etiquette, so here I am.
Yeah, it's the perfect topic for Tomer.
I was born for this.
So we're going to talk unwritten commander rules. But before we do, we got a couple of sponsors today. Our show is brought to you by Foil Armor. Do you have problems with your foils curling? Well, Foil Armor is the ultimate solution for flattening your foils. It's a two-way humidity pack that you simply put inside an airtight container with your cards, and Foil Armor will absorb and release some moisture, making your cards flat forever. Just put it back in a storage box and keep your cards flat. Head over to foilarmor.com and use the code MTGGoldfish to get 15% off. And our show is also brought to you by Card Conduit. Card Conduit's the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. If you ever get tired of the hassles of buy listing, you can skip them with Card Conduit. You can use their curated service and send in as many cards as you want with a buy list value of $1 or more and pay just a 5% service fee. And if you want to do a bit of work, you can use a sorted service where you list and sort your cards in advance and pay just a 2% fee. Either way, you're going to get a detailed report with the results in a fast payment once your order is processed. And you can even get another 10% off by heading over to cardconduit.com/MTGGoldfish. Card Conduit, it's the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. So thank you to our sponsors for supporting the show. And this is normally when we do the comment of the week, but we're in Vegas. The schedule is really weird. So we'll get back to that next time, but leave a good comment and we'll maybe get you on the next cast. So anyway, let's talk the unwritten rules of Commander. And let's start down here again. Phil, what's an unwritten rule that people need to know about?
So first one, this might actually be written now that I think about it. So it is, don't play unfun. Yeah, that don't play unfun cards.
Ooh.
They kind of started writing it down with the bracket system, with like stacks and too overpowered. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it. But also chaos.
Yeah, fun is very.
We've been trying to ban Crim cards way before WotC started.
Yeah, also maybe don't play too much chaos. They don't mention chaos, right? If you play
I don't
Scramble
know.
Verse,
I'm surprised that unfun cards they don't even mention like Scramble Verse or something. I would put that in
That's
the game
very fun.
changer.
Yeah, I
Is
think
it?
that's the most fun.
Is it? Is it
Uh-uh.
fun when you leave the table and you're like, oh crap, half of these cards are not mine?
Sounds
That's how you make lifelong friends. You get their phone number, their Discord. You're like, yo, I got your underground.
We all have black sleeves. Whoops, Scramble
should have
Verse
kept
time.
better track of your cards, I guess.
I mean, it's true that fun is subjective, but then aren't there some things that like most people would agree are unfun? Like, I think that's what we're talking about,
So-
right?
so-
But
so
if
the
like
game
90% of people
changer
think it's
changed
unfun,
things,
yes,
right?
10% are
Yeah,
Crims who
So MLD,
yep.
That's not fun.
Hard stacks,
hard. What is hard stack?
like winter orbs and
stack.
stasis.
Sure, I agree. Winter Orbit, all of that is.
But opposition agent,
That's not hard
Scramblever, like you
Notion
start-
thief.
Those aren't hard stacks. Those are punishers that should.
Mesmeric Orb, mill every single time I untap a permanent.
That's fun.
Why are you staxing me?
That's
I
fun.
wanted those cards.
Damnation.
I
Stack
kid on that one, by the way.
Counter spell.
Yeah.
propaganda, stacks as attacks.
propaganda. Yeah.
Yeah, I think between the official ban list and now the game changers, they're trying to like codify what is unfun for general public. And yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of disagreements on that one. Like I definitely disagree. Like I think mill is absolutely fine, but some people get very upset, like legitimately get very mad if you mill them.
Yeah.
And so that could be considered unfun for some people. So you have to kind of figure out with your table, what do people find unfun, and you have to kind of work around that with your decks.
That's so.
It's hard. It's
That's
hard.
so much work. If you have to go to a pickup group and figure out if I bring 3 decks and one of them is mill, then one of them is out, right?
Well, my poison. I didn't even bring my poison deck this week.
I mean, sure. But you could bring that. You could. I don't know.
Could, but it's
Obviously, don't bring land destruction. Don't bring stacks, like actual
Yeah,
hard
there's 2 other
stacks,
big ones.
right?
Although chaos is pretty brutal.
What's wrong with chaos?
What about
chaos is awful. It's just
so
stacks
fun.
for people you think they're quirky.
Yeah,
That's it.
Do you not like?
Well, okay,
It's pretty
okay. What's
fun.
it? What's
Is
it?
chaos warp bad?
No, Chaos Warp's fine, but
It
it's like
just
there's
says chaos in the
degrees,
name.
obviously. Like there's one that's like you flip a coin, and if you lose the flip, your spell fizzles. What's the difference between that and like a static orb type effect, right?
You could win the
You
flip.
could, you could, I guess. Like it's awful.
Do you not like fun? That's what. Do you like board games?
I just see that there's a very similar parallel between a lot of the cards that people say is stacks and a lot of the cards people say is chaos.
what about looking at it from a different perspective? What about just like cards and decks that monopolize the time at the table? Like,
Yeah, that's
I think
That's-
everyone agrees that your opponent sitting there and doing something for 20 minutes while you're doing nothing
I
is
think-
not enjoyable.
I think that's also why they said extra turns or like
extra
using
turn loops, yeah.
Oh,
brackets
Five
because
extra
people
turns.
are monopolizing the time at the table. That's
And I
probably
think
the
that's
why.
the scoop,
And
though.
most people agree to that, right? Like,
Yeah.
sure, some people like stacks, some people don't like mill, but I think pretty much everyone is not going to have fun if they're just sitting there for a half hour.
Or
while
if
their
there's like a
opponent
storm
plays.
player and it's like, guys, I need 5 minutes. I've never done this before. That's like the worst thing is you have like somebody who's storming off and is like, I've never done this before. I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, you should have. You should have known what you're doing.
Or like resolving a tutor and not knowing your
Yeah.
deck, and you're just like, looking through each
Yeah, that's
card, reading
too,
the
that's
text.
too gatekeepy. It's like you can't be bad at magic and play magic. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, I
like-
guess that's
like
true.
sometimes they gotta think about it, right?
Or magic players.
and
were
the
always
tutor thing is
mad.
fine, but not knowing your storm combo if you build the deck. You
What if
should.
it's the first time you played it?
You
Like-
should goldfish it. That's what storm is for.
all right, next time, one of you guys screw up your combos, I'm just gonna roast you guys.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know if there's a new player and they're like struggling to throw together their storm.
No.
yeah,
and
that
you're
might be
like,
unfair.
yo, what the heck, dude? Like, no.
Actually,
I mean,
so
you don't have to be a new player. I'm always slow. So, like,
that's actually funny you brought that up, because one of the other things I had on the list here was be nice to new players is like kind of an unwritten
Yeah.
rule. Can I be welcoming if someone's new? You want to help them out. You want to get them into the game. So maybe there's a little contradiction there with the like storm
well,
stuff.
unless they're playing storm. And then you're
Who
like,
plays storm as
But
the
how many
storm?
new players are just gonna pick up storm? Like how? Like that's
that was definitely that was my first commander deck. Was I was
really
like-
you
because I was so I'm old and I had my number one fan when I was getting into Magic, John Finkel, and he was Mr. Storm. So I was like, well, if I'm gonna play commander, I might as well build a storm deck. It was like I think it was like Melik, is it Paragon was one of the first ones I built. It was like a 10-minute turn.
Have you ever heard the Patrick Chapin hit the storm? I think it's THA like because it's a rap song. Oh, you gotta look it up.
yeah,
It's
that's what I
actually
heard.
a banger. It's
Yeah.
actually like the best song on the album. Yeah.
To listen to that.
Yeah, look it up on YouTube. You can find the album on there. It's great. Richard, I know you got some unwritten rules. What's
All right,
unwritten?
I got a
rule?
real unwritten rule, which doesn't even compute in my head, but I know for sure it's an unwritten rule. You have to spread the love. You cannot kill one person, and it makes zero sense from a gameplay perspective.
It's suboptimal. Yeah.
So, like, let's say you're playing Voltron, right? What you really want to do is load up and just murder someone immediately, but you cannot do that, right? If you're playing an aggro deck, if you're just like 20 to your face, like, you cannot do that. And the reason you can't do that is one person like instantly gibbs, they die, and then the 3 of you sit there for another like hour and a half playing like a game of Commander, and that
That
person
sucks.
that's sitting there is like doing nothing. And that's very bad. But what that means is you can't really play Voltron. You can't really play aggro. You're playing like aggro combo, Voltron combo or something because you need to keep spreading the love, right? Like you're not allowed to just murder someone. So that isn't actually an unspoken rule because if you come from 60 card formats, you're like, hit them when they're weak. Kill them, like remove them before they
because
can interact
then
with
the
me,
game's
right? One less
over.
opponent, right? But
Yeah. Because once you kill the person, it's like, okay, now we shuffle up, we play again.
I guess there's the slight exceptions if they play a commander that's ultra must kill. If they play Urza or something, you can say, I mean, I gotta kill you.
Feels bad.
It still feels bad, but at least you have an
Does
excuse.
it?
It still does a little bit.
I
At
mean, it's
least.
precisely why we never play those commanders on Clash, because like, look, we have to 3v1 you,
Yeah.
and maybe we win and maybe we lose, but it just seems like a miserable
It's gonna
time,
suck either way,
right? Yeah, so that's why we don't like that kind, even though it could theoretically be balanced. But like, you can't. It's Commander Night, boys, and then I'm out in 10 minutes, and I'm gonna sit here and twiddle on my phone while you guys wrap up, right? Like, you just can't do that.
I think, like, actually, I kind of disagree a little bit with the Voltron strategy. Like, okay, if there is a person that you know is either going to be way too powerful for the table, you take them out. I think that's totally valid. Or if you're like, my deck gets hard countered by yours, so I need to focus you first because I know you have all the answers. Like, let's say I'm a go wide creature deck, and there's like one person who's running like 10 board wipes. You got to go for the person with the board wipes as opposed to other people. I think that makes sense. But sometimes when I'm playing Voltron, if I don't think that there's anybody who like hard counters me or is like too powerful for my deck, I will actually spread the love because I'm not sure who I need to deal with first. So I'd much rather just like start poking people one at a time and maybe not scaring them too much. You know, I hit you for 7, hit you for 7, hit you for 7. Spread the love because then when I'm like, okay, this person is the threat. Then I use like my pump spells, my double strike, and go and kill that person. And like, I don't like being like, this person right off the bat, I'm just gonna kill you because what if that person isn't developing as quickly or anything? You know, like maybe I need to use that person as an ally to deal with somebody who's popping off. You know, so that's why I like spreading the love.
Isn't it though just like mathematically correct that you're more likely to win a 3-player game than a 4-player game? Like, isn't it like, shouldn't you just take someone out to improve your odds?
What if there's one person who's an arch enemy and I've already hit the other person who's struggling? I don't know. Be like, well, I could just finish you off, but I think mathematically it's actually beneficial for me to keep you alive because then you can use your resources with me to help deal with the arch enemy. I might not have enough resources to deal with the arch enemy, so I'm going to use you as a resource, as a blood bag to, well, not blood bag. You're an ally. You're an ally.
Black.
I was gonna say, why would I help you if you're the one murdering
No,
me?
but that's why I'm not going to go straight murder you, right? I'm going to poke, I'm going to spread the love a little bit. When an arch enemy emerges, that's the person I'm going to try and kill. And that's why I don't be like, oh, I'm just going to, just you right off the bat. I hit you the first time. I'm going to hit you 3 more times and you're going to die. So that's my philosophy. Sometimes it is correct to spread the love, even if you're aggro or Voltron.
This happened to me Las Vegas. I played a game with 3 random fans that were like not connected to each other, and one was on Voltron, and one had like some slow janky deck, and the Voltron player just boom, 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 took him out, and the kid sat there for like an hour and a half and watched the rest of the game and just looked so sad, and I felt so bad. And it kind of reminded me of what I think, to piggyback on this, I think like don't beat up on the person stumbling or who has a slow start is kind of an unwritten rule too. Like in a 1v1 format.
So there's so many rules.
It's true unless you're drawing cards off it, then it's okay.
But in 1v1, if someone misses, you know, a land drop, you're like fist pumping. You're like, yeah, oh, this is going to be awesome. I got it. But in Commander, it's like, oh, I can't attack them because they're not doing well enough, which is like the opposite of how you play other formats, right?
And you can't hit the person at the lowest life total. So when I'm tapping my Ancient Tomb every single turn, I'm the lowest life total. You shouldn't hit me because I'm at the lowest life total. Why are you hitting me?
I think there should be an unwritten rule that you're not allowed to abuse the unwritten rules of Commander with Sylvan
I think
Library.
if you're using your life as a resource, you should. It should be the etiquette to hit that person.
That's only fair, right?
Yeah.
Wait, is that not any different than if I just put you at 1?
No, I mean like if
No, not the abusing of the unwritten rule. I'm talking about like it instead of spreading the love, or let's say I just put you at a life point range that
Where you
I
can
feel
kill them at any time.
at any point if you try to cross, right? So when
Worse.
I play Captain America, my goal is not to kill you. It is just to get you enough to where I could throw my shield at you. And then so that is where, okay, now I'll stop beating you up.
I'd prefer that honestly, just because then that this gives me at least an out. Because like you think you have me dead, but maybe I have a card that maybe at instant speed in response to the shield throw, I could gain some life. I don't know.
Okay.
There could be an out.
But that's kind of disrespectful. That's like playing with your food, right? Like,
I'll
you're,
take it.
you're gonna leave me to die at instant speed for the entire game, like that. Like I don't know, right? Like,
But it makes the comeback.
I feel like
so much
that's
more
unwritten rule
exciting.
too. Yeah, you shouldn't play with your food.
That's the strong arm way of going like, yo, you work for me now.
I always,
That's
we
way
had,
worse.
we had these kind of situations on Clash, and I always, whenever this happens to me, I'm like, hey, at least I'm still playing.
Yeah.
Still drawing cards.
Yeah, right.
Like,
You're
I
still
know
There,
gaming.
there still might be outs. Like I could still win. Like yeah, if you feel like I have 0 outs possible, like my deck is like there's nothing in the deck that can get out of it, then you could just like be like have one last stand, try to go for Crim or something, and make him kill you. But sometimes I know I have an out in my 99. I'm like, heck yeah, let's see if maybe I can pull a win.
Well, Krim, up to you. What's an unwritten rule?
Oh man, I think all my unwritten rules are you kind of touched upon one. It's just like I try to be attentive, right, while I'm playing. It has nothing to do with archetypes because I think archetypes, whatever, I don't like certain archetypes, others do, yada yada yada. Main thing is just like actually the play, like the playing with friends, and so I try to just be as attentive as possible, go through my turns, plan ahead, and just make it so that you don't have to watch me like play for like 45 minutes. So that's my game plan usually. So
Yeah, the archetypes are one thing, but the like, I'm sitting there on my phone. I like take my
Yeah.
turn. I'm like
Hey, it's
chilling
your
on my
turn.
phone, and yeah, you got to remind me it's my turn. I'm like, oh yeah, hang on, like
Yeah. That's the same as like when you play like a D&D campaign, right? If you have that one friend that's like, yep. Oh, is it my turn? Oh, yes, it's your turn.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you something, Rich. I know you mentioned this before that like with all the new cards, all the secret lair cards, it's getting harder and harder to know what's going on your opponent's battlefield. Do you think this rule is getting less important? Like, is it if you don't know what your opponents are doing, how are you supposed to stay engaged with what they're doing? Or shouldn't you just like
You should look at it.
sit back
can read
and
the
whatever
Yeah.
on your like?
Ass? I don't know. So I think part of what Krim is saying, which I think a lot of people do, is even if like, okay, so the worst is you read your phone or like, read
Right,
something,
yeah.
right? But even if you're like engaged in the game, people are not thinking about their turn during other people's turn. So
Yeah.
they're like just following along, and then by the time it comes to their turn, they try to like process the entire board
Yeah.
state
Yeah.
and like think of what to do, and it takes a long time. Whereas really during everyone other's turn, you should be like sequencing your turn and
Mhm.
figuring out what
Yeah.
to do. So that that is the time equity issue.
Yeah.
But it is 2025. Like we don't know what half the cards do. You have to look at the backside of the card as well, and like
Yeah.
This is why I run more board wipes. It's not to build better decks, because adding more board wipes is generally a solid gameplay way of just increasing your win percentage and stuff. I just run it because I don't want to read everything. It's too much, so I just get rid of it.
Double face
You
card
get
up
rid
the
of it.
They have
rack.
Instead of
indestructible.
4 board wipes, I'm like at 6, maybe 7. Depends on how much little time I have patience-wise to read everybody's board state.
My next unwritten rule is gonna be don't play too many board wipes, but
What?
I'm sorry. Stop playing new cards. Stop playing new cards. There's one time, okay, like I try every single time that there's a new card, I read it and stuff, and I try to follow. But I remember, I'm not pooping on Doctor Who, but there's one particular deck that was really, really difficult for me to follow, and it's because I'm dumb. But it was like a 13th Doctor or something, some Doctor, and it had like 15 lines of text. I read it like 5 times. Every single time I looked at it, read it, and they're playing every single Doctor in existence in the Doctor Who deck, and every single one has 8 lines of text, and I'm reading them like. I read every single card at least 4 times. I still couldn't my brain is too smooth. I couldn't. So I was just like, I'm sorry. What you're doing is wonderful. Board wipe. Farewell. Farewell. I'm sorry. I can't.
yeah.
I mean, like to piggyback onto the like too much text stuff. One thing I do like to do though, because there are tons of cards now with tons of text,
Yeah.
is I just remind you, like if you're gonna board wipe and be like, hey, I want you to know this creature of mine has indestructible also.
Yeah.
Oh, I was
yeah,
gonna say that.
it's
So
very good.
do you point out your combos and interactions to other players?
Yes.
And
If
like,
they are on
I
board.
think we generally all do that. But is that what everyone should do? So for example, if I have like an ether vial, right?
Yeah.
And I tap it, I'm like, if I drop the creature into play, you cannot respond. You must respond to this trigger, right? Or sometimes I have like a Maria and Grand Abolisher. I'm like, look, guys, on my upkeep, right? I'm gonna get the Grand Abolisher, then you can't do crap. Right?
Yeah.
So would you like to respond? Or if you have a commander and a combo piece, you're like, when my commander comes down, this will be an infinite combo. Like, do you guys do that? Because I know a lot of
Mhm.
people try to be sneaky and they're like, ha, you guys didn't read all the text and like, bam, right?
So I don't intentionally try to be sneaky. I try to do it, but it depends on the situation and like how impactful it is. Like, because it gets tedious if you're just constantly doing it. But if it's something that's actually gonna like win the game or whatever, then I try to like point it out.
I think it's also this is the only time I will say Magic Online was a little bit easier, Because on Magic Online, if there's something on the board, you could just zoom in and click on it, and like you could read it.
No
and
matter
it would
whose card it was.
Especially
yeah.
also for graveyard. Like if there's stuff in the graveyard that's important to know, it's very easy on Magic Online to just scroll through everybody's graveyard. So if I'm playing Magic Online, I wouldn't feel obligated to be like, oh, by the way, this thing has hexproof. Oh, by the way, I have a thing with flashback. I have Past in Flames in my graveyard. But because, like, I don't know, when you're physically sitting down at the table, there's 4 board states to keep track of, and just literally the proximity of the person across from me, it's so far that I always make a point to be like, okay, by the way, this has thing. Oh, by the way, I milled this. This has flashback. I can use it from the graveyard. Or like this, I have an onboard combo, like.
I think with stuff like that, the graveyard, I always try to like shout at the first, like when it first goes there, but I'm not going to keep bringing it up like turn after turn.
Yeah.
Like if I mill something has flashback, like this has flashback,
Yeah.
this is what it does. And then it's your responsibility. Like from there,
But it's
what's
only like
there.
cast like a board wipe and I have indestructible. I'll be just like, just so you know, I have indestructible because it's like there's 50 different things here.
Yeah.
To be honest, though, there's also this, I guess it's also an unwritten rule. There's always takesy backsies in Commander, which you might as well just remind them because otherwise they're going to say, oh, I'm not going to do this anyway. So maybe just,
Plus, like,
maybe that's why we say it.
There's varying levels of like skill, right? Throughout Commander. So because of that, I don't know where you are. I am just going like if you're new, if you're like what I mean, and like on top of that, like how much you remembered because there is just word soup all over the board. So I just read my stuff out as many times as I need to, and unless you're like unless it's like I've told you now like 7 times,
right.
Yeah.
right? Like hey, this still has indestructible.
Yeah.
You keep targeting.
Yeah.
On the 8th time, you got.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let that go.
Okay.
Through. So yeah.
At some point, it gets
Wow,
excessive.
Krim.
Yeah.
For
You wanna
Krim, we give him
remind-
0 takesy backsies. We're like, Krim is sweaty. He's an L1 judge.
That is it. I lose in Judge Tower all like first.
We give him no slack. We're like, no.
I died first in Judge Tower, so there's no way.
Oh, all right. Let's move on to Tomer. Tomer, hit us up with the unwritten rule.
This is a personal one, and I'm shouting out my friend Mark. Hi, Mark. If you have food, make sure it's like clean food or the food is not at the same place where you're playing Magic the Gathering, okay? So like, let's say we often eat pizza before we go and have Commander night.
It's a roast.
It's greasy. There's a lot of crumbs everywhere. And let's say
Love that.
you don't have your own deck. So you borrow one of my deck, let's say. Maybe, first of all, don't have the pizza on the playing mat, Mark. Second of all, wash your hands after eating, and then you can touch the cards. Mark, theoretically, I don't know. So
Is this
just
a
like
shout out? Hold on.
I don't know. This is just like, I'm just picking a name at random. So just like I think food etiquette is very important with Magic the Gathering. These cards are expensive, and even if they weren't expensive, like even if like you have a $10 deck or something like that, like just the fact that there's like crumbs in your sleeves and stuff, you don't want that.
Are you getting the?
You don't want that. It happens.
Okay.
You have to ask my friend Mark.
Oh, so this is real. It's not a hypothetical.
No, my hypothetical friend Mark.
What about drinks at the table? Because I know some play groups
open
handle this differently than others, but like,
drinks.
yeah, if you get an open top drink, there's always some risk that you're gonna do what happened in Phil's basement, right? And just flood the
Oh my
table.
God.
And...
Come on. I also play
That was a
single
low
sleep
blow.
every time, so I run into this problem a lot where I say, "Hey, by the way, I'm single sleeve." There's a glass there, and they say, "Yeah, I'm not gonna."
yeah, it's gonna be fine.
It's gonna be fine, and it's like I'm not gonna be talking about the time where it's fine. Just, it can happen, and so far it didn't happen, except for my entire basement. But that was a little.
Yeah, that
little
wasn't your
different.
fault. Yeah, you can.
But yeah, I would be very cool with people just not having open drinks at the. I guess it's.
So-
That should be.
Are
I mean,
you
can set 'em
supposed
on the
to
floor,
ask
right?
before you touch people's cards?
100.
I
Yeah.
do
I
you think
would.
so?
You do?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't. Like
feel like
maybe
I
I
don't.
should,
Am I rude?
but if I'm like playing a game and someone plays something, I don't even think about it. I'll just like reach over and look at it and put it back down and like maybe I should think about it, but I don't naturally.
I think you don't think about it naturally, and most people won't because in the environments they're normally playing Commander, it's with close friends that you play
Right.
with all the time. Right?
Yeah.
But if I'm going out in public and I'm just going to play a pickup game, I'm going to definitely have to ask you, right? Because I don't want to just be like, hey, give me that. All right, what does
I
that
mean,
do?
if it's like their land, it's like far away, you're gonna ask because you don't want to like reach. across the table.
yeah.
But if they're like in the command, like in the red zone attacking you, like
I would still ask. I would
I usually ask, yeah.
land or not, whether it's in reaching distance. Like the main thing here is like in public. I don't know. Like I've seen people get very nervous just in general about others playing with or looking at their cards in certain ways, right? Because like, oh, I would like, yeah, like whether
I feel like it is a respectful thing to do.
Yeah.
Like it's probably a nice thing to do.
It's
I
also-
probably should think of it more.
It's also
honestly.
like not all Magic players, but like a certain subset of Magic players, like any demographic, are not super the most hygienic. And you know, if like they're wiping snot on their hands or they're eating
Oh
Cheetos
my
or
God,
something,
Red Bull.
you know, like you don't want them.
There's no
Just
way.
grab it.
So let's say someone's like, right, and then they're like, "Can I see your thing?" And you're like, "No."
Are you gonna say no?
go wash your hands? Like,
Yes.
no, you
Yes.
would not.
What, if that-
begrudgingly
if that
give it to
Cheetos
them, and then
fingers-
pull up your backup ultimate guard sleeve.
If somebody's eating Cheetos and he reaches out with like orange stained fingers, you're gonna be like, "Sure, buddy."
You're like, counterspell.
No.
I feel like I wouldn't say no. I'm not gonna say no. To
Really?
I feel like I would.
Really?
That's so. I don't know.
Maybe if
that's-
it's like Dorito hands and it's like super obvious,
Yeah.
like come on, like you gotta know that. But
Yeah.
I gotta tell you a story about this after the cast. I'm not gonna do this here, but
Oh, no.
yeah, I also don't say
Throw
no.
some people under the
but I
bus
wish.
afterwards.
sometimes you wish you could. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go with a super basic one, which is I think the biggest unwritten rule of Commander is all the pregame discussion stuff. Unlike every other format, you should expect there's like this unwritten rule that when you go to play a pickup game, you're gonna have a conversation about like matching your deck's power level. I think maybe with brackets, it's less that you have to talk about individual cards in your deck, where it's like, oh, I'm playing free counter spells, or I'm playing, these tutors or whatever. But I think that's something that's like unique to Commander, that there's this unwritten rule that you're gonna have this like pregame discussion about how you want the game to go. When in other formats, you just sit down and try to kill each other.
I do like that brackets kind of have eliminated that, right? If I say I'm a bracket 3, it's pretty obvious that then, okay, I have 3 cards in here. There's a relatively, like you kind of guess what the power level is there, right?
I think
So
that's the goal.
brackets have been doing good for me in that department. 'cause
Do you think it's lessen the number of, or like the amount of pregame conversation you need to have to get into a game?
if they know what brackets are, yeah.
You're just like, hey, we're all bracket 3, let's go.
Yeah, like because I tested this out at I think Chicago this year,
Yeah.
where I just brought only bracket decks, right? And I asked a lot of people, and some people didn't know what brackets were.
What is that?
And so obviously that's going to be just a crapshoot, right? But then a good chunk of people who knew what brackets were, like, we were able to at least get relatively pretty close in power level, right? Outside of some people not remembering that it's the intent that goes into the bracket. It's like, well, I could break a bracket 1 easily. It's like, yes,
Yeah.
we know. So that's the main thing. It's intent on brackets, and that's helped a lot with these pregame discussions.
Yeah, I think for my groups, when I'm doing F&M at least, when it's my regular play groups, you don't have the discussion because we all know each other's decks.
Right,
So
yeah.
it's just like, I just say, like, I feel like playing X. And they're like, okay, cool. But when I sit down in F&M and stuff, people say like, what are people feeling like playing? Like what power level? And people say like bracket 2, bracket 3, or like I'm playing a stock precon, and then that's it. Like it's like usually question, everybody has a quick answer, we play. It takes about like 10 seconds.
Stock precon's bracket 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, roughly,
Yeah.
give or take. All right. Who else has some unwritten rules? I don't know. Do we want to go back around? Do we have enough to go back around, or do we want to go free for all?
Sure. Somebody hook me up with an unwritten rule.
I got you, Phil. Here's a very controversial one, and I think this fixes like every single problem in Commander, and it's very obvious, but it's very difficult. Be a fun person,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Like, Krim gets away with a lot of crap because he's fun, okay? So, like, he can break out his stupid stacks deck that no one wants to play, his aggro deck, whatever, because he's a generally fun guy and he makes it fun and we don't care as much. But it is very easy to be like a not fun person and bring that deck and everyone will hate you and have a miserable time. Right? Like, as like we're all just trying to have fun, and all of this like power level, like unspoken rules and all that garbage is like to facilitate having fun. But if you're just a like naturally fun person, right? Then that fixes all of this, right? And it doesn't mean you have to be like outgoing necessarily. You know what I mean? Like you can be, like if something bad happens to you, like don't like tilt off the end of the world and like flip the table and be weird about it, right? Like laugh, congratulate them, nice combo, like stuff like that, right? So if you are just a fun person and try to like spread it, other people will reciprocate and you will all have fun. And that will fix brackets, that will fix etiquette, that will fix everything.
I mean, because when it comes down to it, that's the entire reason to play Commander, right? It's not a competitive format. You're not trying to win prizes. Like the entire goal is for everyone to have fun.
It's just a social event.
It's kind of funny. We recorded a podcast I don't think it went live yet, but it reminds me of something you brought up, Tomer, about like charisma and how that's like the most underrated superpower in Commander. It's kind of a
D&D
lot of
player
the
over
same
here.
type of stuff.
The person with the highest charisma stat is the one who's going to have the high win percentage. It's always going to correlate. Doesn't matter what you're playing. And yeah, I think you always want to play to be invited back, essentially. And even if you play a deck that's like everybody would consider fun, but you're being a jerk about playing it, like you have a jerk attitude, it's not going to be fun, Like, I think the most important thing for sitting down in a game of Commander is just like, be chill, be cool, have fun.
Yeah. I got one for you guys. Let me ask you about this. Politics and deal making. Do you think there's an unwritten rule in Commander that you shouldn't break deals? Is that an implied unwritten rule of Commander that if you make a deal with someone, you should keep it?
I mean, I think that is true to an extent, unless A, you forget, or B, like
it benefits you.
or
You might forget.
or the game. Like 'cause I tried to politic you numerous times into situations where, hey, you made a deal with me, you have to essentially concede the game.
I will say I think the biggest
caveats.
exception is if something changes where you can end the game right away,
Yeah.
then I think that for me is a reason to change.
What?
We've
No.
discussed
Like
this,
if
right?
we're like, I'm not gonna kill, like I won't kill you next turn, Crim, but then it turns out I can actually just kill the entire table.
Yeah.
Then I'm kind of okay with killing that person along with the entire
Wow, I'm
table.
not playing with Seth ever again.
really?
What? You can't do that. So if that happens, you have to kill the other two and give them a turn of
Do you
respect.
think so? Wow. Okay.
I mean, we had this on
Usually
Clash
do,
before,
yeah.
but we also, I think, if you end the game, everything is fine, and then no grudges in the next game.
Oh, that's actually an unwritten rule too,
No
right?
grudges
Like,
next
each
game?
We never
game
follow
is-
it.
Doubt.
We never follow
doubt.
it.
I've never seen anybody follow that.
We
no.
think we want to do it, but we never
Maybe
do
not
it.
It
next
sounds
week, but
good.
game 2 is usually like, you know what happened last game, we gotta kill it.
Well, every time.
That's different threat assessment.
Oh yeah, that's grudges.
Like I feel so like say you play game 1 and there's one deck that's clearly more powerful than the other 3. For game 2, I think it's fair if you're like us 3 need to work together to knock him down.
Yeah.
What I think is less acceptable is game 1, Seth kills me. Game 2, I put every stacks piece I have onto Seth and like just gun him down, right? I think that is unacceptable, or at least you know we try to adhere to that, right?
And then we have Tomer, who spent 7 years trying to get me back for the strip mine
I did.
Commandeer Mana Crypt
I
play, and you
did.
finally did.
I did.
It took years,
It
but
felt very good. Revenge. It was fermenting for like 7 years. Oh, good stuff.
I mean, I do think though, right? Like we had that happen this past Clash, right? Where I think I made a deal with you, and I asked you straight up, like, "Hey, I made a deal with you, but I can kill the whole table now."
and I was cool
we
with that.
just kind of
Right?
agreed to that.
I
Like,
feel like normally if you can kill them, at least that's how I do
Look
it.
at
Well,
that high
If you have a
charisma.
deal with
Would you
me-
like to lose the game? Yes.
See the
Yes,
high,
Grim, I
high
would.
charisma stat in action. Just free wins. Free wins by just being nice.
What is the point of that deal then? You made a deal to survive, and then you're like, well, you got the win anyway. Grim asked very nicely, gave him the old puppy eyes, and Seth was like,
You
yes.
rolled a high charisma check.
Yeah, I
Roll
think
the
I know
20.
it. Because, so let's say time only exists in this Commander game. So after everybody dies, time doesn't, it stops. So it only starts with it's just blacklist.
Whoa,
I don't want to
dark.
make it too existential, but I think in this specific thing, if you say, I don't kill you next turn, but then I kill everybody, it's like, I think this one is fun.
That is Crim Rules Lording 101. I said I wouldn't kill you, but I'm killing everyone.
And then-
Everyone is not the same word as you, so we're good, right?
And then have an existential
What- okay,
question
okay.
linked to
what
it.
if you clear it with the person you made the deal with?
Hey,
right?
yeah, if I'm cool
so,
with it.
So like,
Yeah.
I did clear it, right?
So the important thing about rule breaking is like not having like a broken trust or like
Right.
someone feeling betrayed. But if you gaslight them into agreeing,
That is
then like why
cool.
not?
Keep rolling 20s
Okay,
on your
so
charisma
so
checks.
let's
Boom,
say
boom, boom.
let's say you say I'm not going to destroy your commander next turn, but then you wipe the board. I think this is
You destroy it. Yeah. I'm going.
no, but this is
I didn't
different, right?
destroy it. I
Because
bounced it,
time
strike
keeps
for it.
going.
If you destroy it after saying you won't destroy it, that's a deal break, right?
But you wipe the entire board.
Oh, okay.
Isn't
Well, it
that
depends.
the-
Depends. If it's like, hey, there's a game-ending threat now in that turn cycle, you clear it with the person you made a deal with.
That's okay.
I
Okay,
can
that is
sweep,
okay,
right?
yeah.
But like in that situation, if I say I don't destroy it and then I destroy it, I think that is a deal break. Now, if I say I don't destroy it and then I bounce it, that's good.
Wait,
I-
but if
No,
you
see,
That's
no,
clean. That's
no.
clean.
See,
That's clean.
That's
That's
oh
just-
Absolutely.
no,
clean.
Let's,
that's even worse.
let's
That's
say
just
you
rules
don't destroy it,
lawyering.
but you
That's like
kill
a
the person.
technicality.
Yeah, if you remove the person,
Oh.
I have not killed your commander. Clean.
This is like when Krim says, "Oh, I only have lands in my hand," and he's like, he has lands and like 5 board wipes. It's like, yeah, he has lands.
I draw 5 cards. It's like, Tomer,
I got
drew 4
nothing.
lands.
I got nothing. I have so many lands. It's like, yes, you have 8 lands, and then you have 20 other spells because you have like 40 cards in your hand.
So this is kind of related, but what about lying in Commander? Like, do you think there's an unwritten rule that you shouldn't lie, or do you think that just falls under bluffing? Like, oh, it's acceptable because it's a game and it's part of the game to bluff. So if you actually have Wrath in your hand or you say I got all lands, that's okay because it's just part of the game. But do you think there's an unwritten rule against
I will
lying?
mostly say I have mostly lands, right? Like
I mean, there's
yeah,
yeah,
like
worded that makes it not a
yeah.
lie. Yeah, and then,
Yeah,
then
see,
that's
so-
fair.
I just
Yeah.
remember the MTGO years when there was the webcam.
Yeah.
The comment
The
section would be
hand would
like,
pop
"Ah,
up."
Krim was momentarily honest with some of the stuff you were saying."
Yeah, like I remember like drawing like a bunch of cards. I'm like, dude, I have 7 lands in my hand, but Krim, you have 8 cards. Yes.
I think straight up lying that's a little scummy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you usually we say like my hand I don't have anything in hand is like a phrase. Obviously you have cards in hand if you have cards.
Yeah.
So I think if you say, I guess it's lying if you break a deal, for example, or what else would be?
I think deal
I
breaking
guess
would
if you have a
be-
morph card and say no it's this, and then you flip it up and it is, there will be no.
I don't have a combo spell.
Yeah, like,
or
I'm not gonna
or
win
I'll
next turn
save
and
you
I
when
have
he
the-
attacks you or something like that kind
It's
of.
like
deal.
I'm not gonna win next turn. You have like Crater Hoof and like 8 creatures on the board. It's like,
Because it's kind of connected, right? Lying and deal breaking is like
Yeah.
probably similar. Most deals being broken would have a lie in them, I think, probably.
you can always weasel your way out of it. Like, I mean, like, I don't say I'm not gonna win next turn because I don't know. You might have a counter spell or something.
Oh my god.
What's the Richard
not 100%
answer? I do
certain.
not have enough information.
Yeah,
to
exactly. That's,
assess.
no,
That's
that's my out for
okay.
no politicking.
All right, what about this one? No kingmaking. I feel like that's an unwritten rule that comes up a lot. Well, not maybe not that much, but it comes up on occasion. And sometimes I'm still not sure exactly what counts as kingmaking. Because sometimes after we play a game of Commander Clash, I'll be like, wait, did you consider
Yeah,
that
and sometimes the
kingmaking? And I'm
comments
like,
say, well, this was
or the
clearly
comments will say,
and
I'm
then
like,
in the game itself it felt fine.
yeah. So, but that is an unwritten rule, right? Is like, since it's a 4-player format, if you're gonna die, you shouldn't try to shift the game in the favor of one of the surviving players, basically.
I think it's Kingmaking is okay if it's funny.
If it's
Yeah.
Funny
the
to
humor
whom?
exception.
I remember there was one time, like I think like I was playing Drownu or something, and I had like I had 1 permanent on the battlefield. It was just Drownu. Like you got me to wipe my own board of all other permanents, and I then like Krim was getting killed by you, I believe. So on the way out, he like tapped all your permanents, so you couldn't kill anybody else. And then I just won by existing. I thought that was very funny.
That was
I thought that was very
such a
funny.
game.
They didn't save Krim, so it didn't increase the win percentage, but I thought it was hilarious.
is it kingmaking if you do it to the person who's killing you? Because that's the other thing I saw in the YouTube comments was people being like, oh, that doesn't even count as kingmaking because Seth was killing Krim anyway, so it's fair that Krim would do whatever he could to Seth
yeah.
before Seth killed him, even if Krim knew he
I mean,
was going to be out of the
self-defense.
game.
If it were like I died and then I just blew up Phil's thing,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
randomly, that would be, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of weird, right?
Swords Phil's commander.
Yeah,
piece.
but if it's you attacking me, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't I?
Right,
Like,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm gonna throw the house at you while I can, and then
I think that's fair, yeah.
Especially if you politics it early. Like, Seth, you could kill me, but you will do it, but I'm going to make it as painful as possible. then that also makes you second guess yourself too. Like, do I keep Krim alive? Can I afford whatever the pain would be? You know, like, I don't know.
But why would people be mad at that? Like,
I think that's fine.
it's your defense mechanism, but you died, right? So let's say you didn't die. Like, you attacked me and I remove all your stuff, but you're alive. No one would complain, right? But let's say you attack me, you kill me, I'm gonna die, but I'm gonna remove all your stuff anyway, right? I'm king-making the other person. That's like the same thing. Like, why is it bad? Like, that's a consequence for attacking me, and my defense didn't get there, right? I died, but I got you back. You know?
To me that seems fair.
It's more of a CDH question because it's like, well, if you're playing in CDH, you're playing to win. So if you're taking an action that isn't increasing your win percentage, you shouldn't take it, that sort of thing. But like, I think in casual, I think more of it is just like, we want to make fun, memorable experiences. Sometimes it's just funny to go on the way out.
In CDH? Do they lie?
Yeah, like so there are always
there's been a debate about that. Whether
oftentimes it becomes draws. Now it becomes just like draws. Is like, I have a removal spell. I could like stop that person from going off, but then if I do that, I know the other person's about to win, so I'm not going to use it. I'm going to tell you that I have it, but I'm not going to use it because I'm just letting that other person king-make, you know?
Make them have it.
What about priority bullying? I know that applies more to
so cool. That is so cool. Yeah.
But is there not an unwritten rule against priority bullying that you shouldn't take advantage of like the priority system?
I mean,
Wait, why?
I get bullied all the time.
That's so dumb.
That's come on. That's not a real thing, right? Priority. That's just playing the game.
Okay, so it happens in casual, right? It happens because it's like, Seth, do you have a board wipe? Right? And then
priority.
Even though like it's my turn and I want the board wiped, I ask Seth, and then I might bully him. Like, I'll remove your creature if you don't
do it, yeah.
right? Or whatever, right? Because Seth's like, oh, I want to protect my board. So we do have that in casual, but the answer is I don't have enough information, right? Like, whoever's next in priority is responsible for taking the action. If they want to take the risk of passing priority and letting someone else deal with it, it might work or they might lose. We've had cases where Krim tried this
with you.
Yeah. He's like, Richard, I know you have the board wipe. I'm just going to pass. And I'm like, Krim, I have nothing. We all died. Right? Like, that's perfectly fine.
That's
right?
perfectly viable.
Yeah, that's how it works.
You're gonna
right?
take.
Like,
Sometimes
that's a risk.
it's going to blow up in your face.
Yeah. But it's there is a turn order and there is a priority order.
I swear.
So I don't know why people call it like priority bullying. It's just like literally the game mechanics.
Yeah, you were just doing
and you're trying to get someone to like cast a spell out of order and they don't need to and they don't have to. So I don't know.
Yeah. I think that should not ever be a thing frowned upon, right? Like why, right? Yeah, like as Richard's saying, you're doing game actions that are part of the game. I think that is totally fine.
Okay, here's one I know is frowned upon. What about scooping to get some advantage? Like your opponent's like playing something, you know you're gonna die, and you scoop to like fizzle their combo or fizzle an effect.
That's BM.
That's
super BM.
Considered to be,
I think the
an unwritten rule
that
for
is a
everyone.
no.
is you can only scoop at sorcery speed.
Yes.
And that would fix like 99% of this, right? So the example is like maybe someone attacks you and they have all these like deal combat triggers and you're dead. So
and
you
like,
scoop and it, like,
no
fizzle all
triggers,
that,
haha.
Yeah.
Unless everybody scoops. Like if somebody takes infinite turns, I think everybody
that's
can
different.
scoop. Because,
that's different, right? But if you scoop to like somehow screw the other person over when the
attack,
the triggers would actually do something, that seems bad. But sorcery speed scooping would.
I actually think, is there an unwritten rule against scooping in general? I feel like there's hardly any conceding it, no matter how bad it's going. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone.
Okay, so what if this happens? Krim plays a Winter Orb. I'm at 40 life. I have to. I just scoop. I'm like, I'm done, guys.
Have you actually done?
No. That's totally frowned upon. Right?
I feel like it's frowned upon, but I feel like it shouldn't be.
I feel like some people
I mean, maybe on turn 3 it's a little extreme, but I still feel like
what if you're not dying and you're just like, I'm done with this game?
Like, isn't that a legitimate reason? Like in standard or any other format, just like being done playing Magic is a legitimate
because you mess up the game for the remaining.
Yeah, that's
the difference between 1v1 is you can scoop at any time and then the game's over.
Because the other person
if in multiplayer you scoop at any time, sure, but then the game continues and now there's like an imbalance. And I definitely agree. Like if you're not having fun at a game, you should be able to scoop 100%. However, just keep in mind that if you're scooping, like let's say somebody puts Winter Orb Now there's one less person at the table who could potentially answer that winter orb. If everybody was sitting around, somebody finally finds a naturalize or something, gets rid of it, it's going to go away much faster. Or somebody's an arch enemy. I saw a lot on Magic Online, which is why I don't practice on Magic Online anymore. Somebody just becomes like pops off early, and then somebody leaves. It's like, they popped off early. It's like, well, no, if you were stuck around, that means the three of us can band together. We can deal with the problem.
I opened the way.
Yeah.
My battle bond land.
Obviously, if you're not having fun in the game, by all means, scoop. But I feel like there is a reason to stick around that you should weigh at least. And
No, I don't think you're ever allowed. I think you're just priced into sitting there.
No.
But isn't that
Like if it's like an emergency, okay, you
right?
know?
Yeah.
But
If you have Cheetos fingers and you cast Scrambleverse, I'm scooping. I'm not.
Still though,
I would never play with you again. You know what I mean? Like when things look bad, Tomer like abandons the game, and we have this weird three commander
Just
game.
don't Cheetos fingers, Scrambleverse. Don't.
I feel you gotta finish the game and just never play with that play group.
But at
again
the
if,
same time, like,
you don't agree with it.
is it like fair to have someone locked into a 3-hour experience they're not enjoying, like an hour into it? Like,
Well, then you negotiate. You're like, hey everyone,
2 more hours.
I think this game is over. Would we all like to scoop?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to do the full 3 hours, right? You just concede like an hour in or something.
Well, sometimes like, can you concede in that an hour into a
Hour
game?
in,
You're like,
sure, you
man, this
played the
game
game,
is
right?
just
Like-
not doing it for me. Like, I'm done with it. I'm scooping.
That seems wrong though.
I don't see why not, right? Like, there's a point where like a minimum amount of game had to have been played.
Right. Yeah, that's different than the brawl. Like, turn one, my opponent played an island. I concede. I'm out of here.
The Magic Online, I didn't have a perfect hand. I mulled to 6 scoop. It's like, okay, fine.
Here's the argument for that. So in that case, you're prioritizing your happiness, which makes sense, right? But there's 4 people at the table, right? And you are taking happiness away from them by removing yourself.
I'm a big believer that like you play Commander, so the whole table's having
Yeah.
fun. So that's a pretty convincing
That's
argument.
why I think
for
the
me.
best thing is you're like, guys, this is miserable. How about we all agree the Winter Orb player wins and we start a new game?
Yeah,
And then
can you
you,
scoop
like-
and start a game without the winner or player?
Oh,
Is
wait.
that allowed? Can you be like, we're all gonna scoop and you go over there, buddy. We're gonna do our own game. We need a
switch decks.
fourth. We need a fourth
They
over
just
here.
switch decks. It's fine. Or you give them a deck. Commander players always have at least 6 decks minimum.
So let's say you scoop. Are you allowed to leave the table? Because you said it at a con. You usually sit around for the game to end, which is at times super awkward. And I've been in situations where I say, hey, and maybe that's a little special because we can say, oh, I gotta play with other fans. So we can just ditch it at some point.
Yeah.
No, wait,
Yeah.
wait,
I
you
usually-
die, you did?
Usually I'm not, but if it's like somebody kills me and then farewell, and I say like, oh my god, no, and then I just leave, and then maybe after my next game they're still sitting there, and I say, oh, who is winning?
See a farewell, and you're just like, bye.
No, I'm not scooping. If I get killed,
because
Yeah.
I don't
feel
always.
it's disrespectful to leave.
It is,
So
yeah.
here's so if someone dies, right, and I say, so for me personally, I say you can leave if you want. You don't need to stick around,
Yeah.
right? But you can stick around if you want. But if I die first, I will stick around.
Yeah.
I feel it's kind of like disrespectful somehow to just leave.
It's so tough because the other side of it is like there's so many people that want to get in games with us that I also feel like I'm
yeah, I think
doing the right
leaving
thing
that-
in the big picture.
But I
like-
feel like it doesn't matter if I'm content creator or not, right? Like if even at the LG, like I feel it's somewhat disrespectful to leave in the middle of a game, even though you're dead, right? But
I feel like that's a horrible rule. I feel like it would be better if it was normalized that you could
I
just
think it would
leave
be,
and move
right?
on.
'Cause
But
then
I
you
think
can
you're
start a
right
new
that it is
pod.
kind of frowned on. But I feel like it'd be better if it wasn't.
so MagicCon would be the place where you should be able to do this. So at an LGS, right? There's not a lot of people.
yeah.
So you're not able to like find a new pod or
Yeah.
whatever. But at MagicCon, you should be able to find a new
You just
pod
jump in the next
instantly.
game and get in as many as
So
possible,
it
right?
should be normalized, but I don't know. Something feels
It does feel
off.
weird.
Like you didn't get the. It's like you watch a movie, 75% you just walk out. At some
Well,
point, you're priced in, and you gotta finish it out of respect.
Do you? I mean, that's the sunk cost fallacy. What if the movie's terrible, right?
It's
So
like you make the cut at like 10 minutes or something, right? But like, what's your
Hey, we
hour?
shut off Advent Children at the 42-minute mark.
Hey, we're gonna
okay?
finish it. That was that
Okay.
scheduling issue.
I think at MagicCon though, specifically, if we were talking about it there, I think that should be fine, right?
I feel like in the context of MagicCon in specific, that's like the best place for it.
I
Because you
lost.
can
I
always
want to go
get
get in line
games,
for
yeah.
something.
I gotta
wanna
go get it right. I gotta
meet
go to
an
drink. I
artist.
gotta right.
Yeah,
There's
right?
so much
There's
to
only
do.
so much time you
There's only
have.
so
Yeah.
much time,
If we were now at a paid event where, like, example, I paid to come here and play Magic, you know, I totally get it. Your time is valuable. My time is valuable. Please go do whatever you want to.
I think it does feel worse, like LGS, like Richard was saying. If you're doing an 8-player commander night and that's all the people there, it's a little
Yeah.
Well, you can't
Just sit alone at another
Go
table.
sit in the corner by yourself.
Yeah, or if you're hosting a game night or something, it's 4 of you. It's like okay, bye. I guess like
If it's
no.
when you scoop, everyone has to leave, right?
No,
Yes.
If I die early, I just make snacks for everybody. You know? It's
So
like,
speaking of scooping, do you allow people to finish their combo? Okay, so I know like a lot of people put together like some like terrible like jank combo, right? And then once every like 50 games it comes together and they start doing it. And it may take a while. Is it okay to scoop and be like, you got it, bro? And like, don't let them finish. I know you guys have this problem on Arena when you guys try to play jank decks. Or do you let them like, do the victory lap, right? Like, trot it out, hit the combo, do the big attack, do all that. Or you're like, nah, I scoop, let's go.
It 100% depends on how unique and cool I think it is. If it's something I've seen before and you're just like storming off and I've seen it a million times, I'm like, I'm done. Okay, I know what you're doing. But if it's actually something.
So once I mana guys are passing plays, you guys just
Right,
walk
no,
away.
yeah, okay. I don't care how you're winning. I've seen this. Like, I'm done.
Yeah, we usually
Storm and
ask,
artifact loops.
like how
Yep.
it ends.
No, yeah, you got it.
I
Like,
love Storm.
Yeah, I asked like, does it end in an Thassa's Orca? If yes, then
or like, if you have an
I'm good.
omniscience on the battlefield,
Oh,
like
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna assume that you're gonna win the game somehow. And the thing you did was omniscience, so no matter what else you do, actually you just played omniscience. The cool thing doesn't really count. So good enough.
I mean, yeah, like I definitely will let people, for the most part, play it out though, right? I'll let you BM me, or you can emote me. I think it's great. You got the W, emote
like
me into
dab
the
on
ground,
you.
right? Like you dab on me if you want, right? But if it's an artifact loop or a storm, I'm like, yeah, okay.
What if it's
I
infinite
believe you.
turns?
Oh
Oh
god.
no, that's the fastest.
I don't actually know which one I hate more, an infinite artifact loop or infinite turns. They're
Infinite
both
turns.
equally like degrading and on top of that miserable to watch. So
The Nadu division.
Oh, that's the worst.
This is one where I've triggered once. This is one
but
where-
that's funny. Like I would let that play out because that's really
It
funny.
was really funny the first time, but then like the 10th time, I'm like, oh my god.
But what if you start catching them on errors, though? Then you can call judge and you can get
Every
disqualified.
yeah, that's the problem with playing Judges Tower so much. Now we're all like rules lawyers. Like, yeah, you did that in the wrong order. You're out of here.
Yeah.
You lose. You lose.
You didn't announce that
That
upkeep.
was
trigger.
your tap. You lose. Sorry.
we had a friend who was playing his Elish Norn deck, and it's a blink deck, right? And I was like, okay,
yeah.
but if you
Oh, yeah.
here's the rule: if you miss a trigger on any of your stuff, you lose. And it's like that counts your Soul Warden, that counts anything. You have to do it all. If you have a friend who has a deck that just takes 5 years, has a million triggers, play that game with them. Add a little mini game.
that slows it down. Everybody's like, play, let me check all my permanents,
Yeah.
how many triggers, trigger,
Which is,
trigger.
but then the whole table's engaged, right? It's like, what do you have over there? Oh, you missed, dude.
Because you know every single action could be their last.
Yeah.
You guys haven't seen Krim play Judge Tower. I've never seen him play so slow in his life. Krim actually plays Magic like really, really
Yeah.
fast, right? So when you watch him play, he's like bam, bam, bam,
But
bam,
then he
bam.
dies to Mana
Judge
Rock.
Tower.
Man,
He's
the
like-
rocks are so dumb.
I go to draw step. Wait, let me check all the
Look at
permanents. Let me check
everything.
your battlefield. Let me check every card in the graveyard.
That was sweat mode activate. That was tournament grinder crim.
Who lost to the Mana Rock in his upkeep?
The best part is the simpler the card is, the slower it is, because the more paranoid
He's like,
Grim is that it's
"What's
like a
going on?
gotcha of some
Why is
kind.
it so simple?
So he draws like a land, and he's really nervous about like how it's gonna happen when he gets some
What-
super complicated. Stuff. Like, oh, sure, fine, yeah, whatever.
What was it? Mosswort Bridge or whatever? And I'm just like, okay, why is this in the deck? What am I doing wrong? This is so simple. I just play it.
It's really just
We
to
have to
make
do
you
a
remember to tap
Patreon
it on your
on
upkeep.
Tower.
Yeah.
Half the people won't know what we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
So, any other unwritten rules? We got a few minutes, and then we're gonna be wrapping this up. Anything else on the way out the door?
Basic hygiene.
Isn't that a written rule?
That is a written rule.
And some LGSs.
That is a
Yeah.
written
It's
rule.
written.
I mean,
Don't let Richard get away with it. Although we don't
let
follow
Richard
this rule.
Don't let Krim get away with it. This season, don't let Krim
This
get away with
season,
it.
I will say y'all are like that.
Might be getting steamrolled.
That
over
y'all let
here.
even politic with me to let me do the things that I do.
All
I'm
right,
like,
don't trust Krim would be a good one.
Oh no.
Just like, there's an old movie called Memento, and it has on his don't believe his lies.
that's a good
So we have to write that before we start recording Commander Clash, just so Krim can't get away with it.
Yeah, we're all gonna get that.
You
next
guys
week
are
at the
cooked.
con,
Seth
right?
is over here just like, yeah, we can break the deal. You can
Yeah,
win the game. I'm perfectly happy with it. It was totally necessary, guys.
You
I'm
asked
like,
me so
what?
nicely. I guess you could kill me.
What
That's
happened this season?
I'm like, you guys are cooked. You guys are cooked. That's why you throw with the I don't have enough information.
Anyway, everyone, I think those are our unwritten rules of Commander coming to you from MagicCon Vegas. So those are our rules. If you got something that we missed, let us know. I know there's tons of different unwritten rules out there, different ones that are like playgroup specific. So let us know what unwritten rules you play by in the comments. And we'll be back next week to talk more Commander. So until then, have an amazing week. And this is a crew signing out.